The invitation arrived on a rainy Tuesday morning, tucked beneath a pile of bills and discount flyers. At first glance, it looked harmless, just a crisp, gold-stamped envelope from her old school, inviting her to the 10-year reunion. But as soon as Amelia saw the sender names in the group email thread that followed, names of people who once carved deep wounds into her childhood, she understood exactly what the invitation was meant to be. Not a celebration. Not a reconnection. A spectacle. A show. A chance for the classmates who once called her the loser, the nobody, the girl with nothing, to laugh again at her expense. She stared at the screen for a long time, remembering the whispers behind lockers, the smirks during roll call, the way she used to hide her worn shoes under her desk so no one would see the holes. For a moment, the pain almost made her delete the invitation. Almost. But then something inside her, something that had grown quietly over the years, lifted her chin. She wasn't that girl anymore. Not even close. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of rising after being broken, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps the channel grow and spread these stories to more hearts. The night before the reunion felt surreal. Amelia stood before her bedroom mirror, running her fingers over the white dress she had chosen, a sleek, elegant piece with a soft gold trim that framed her waist like a reminder of how far she had come. She remembered the version of herself who once wore second-hand clothes donated by neighbors, who never raised her hand in class because she feared her voice would tremble. But life had changed for her the moment she stepped away from the shadows of her school years. She had worked relentlessly, first as a receptionist, then as an assistant, and eventually becoming one of the youngest founders of a rising wellness brand that built safe spaces for women who had once felt unseen. The world had taught her to fight, but it had also taught her to heal. And now, she would walk back into the past not as the broken girl they remembered, but as the woman she rebuilt. The reunion was set at one of the most luxurious estates in the city, a place she once saw only in magazines. From above, as her helicopter approached the emerald green lawn, she saw hundreds of tiny figures gathering outside the massive entrance. Every guest had been instructed to line up in 2 long rows on the trimmed grass, an over-the-top and dramatic welcome walk arranged by the former class elites who planned the event. Amelia almost smiled. They were expecting someone ordinary, someone forgettable, someone they thought she still was. The helicopter blades roared as it touched down gently. Heads turned. Phones lifted. Eyes widened. And for the first time in her life, Amelia stepped onto the ground not as someone trying to disappear, but as someone who deserved to be seen. The doors of the helicopter opened, and warm sunlight poured over her as she stepped forward with slow, steady confidence. Her heels pressed into the grass, her dress swayed with each step, and the entire crowd froze, staring, whispering, recording. Their plan had backfired instantly. Instead of a moment of mockery, they had created an entrance fit for a queen walking through her coronation aisle. Amelia walked the entire length of their stunned silence, the same silence she once received in classrooms when everyone avoided sitting beside her. But this silence felt different. It was filled with disbelief, regret, and awe, heavy, thick, undeniable. Inside the ballroom, memories wrapped around her like ghosts. The same polished floors she once walked timidly across, the same faces she saw every morning in the hallways. She could feel old fears trying to rise, but she pushed them gently aside. She wasn't here to gloat. She wasn't here for revenge. She was here for closure, for the girl she once was, who never got the chance to lift her head and feel proud. The event unfolded slowly. Groups whispered. Some stared from afar, too stunned to approach. Others, the very ones who had once hurt her the deepest, suddenly looked nervous and clumsy as they approached her with awkward greetings and shaky smiles. Amelia listened politely, but inside she felt a strange softness growing. Life had changed them, too. They were no longer the teenagers who once thought cruelty was power. Some had grown kinder. Some had shrunk into their own regrets. and some simply didn't matter anymore. As the evening progressed, the old stories were told, the yearbook photos displayed, and the music played songs from their childhood. But the most powerful moment came when Amelia stepped outside onto the terrace alone. The sky had darkened, the helicopter lights shimmered in the distance, and a breeze brushed her hair. She inhaled deeply, letting the night settle around her. For years, she believed she would only feel pain returning to this place. Instead, she felt free. Liberated. She had walked back into her past not to confront it, but to release it. When she returned to the ballroom, something shifted. People weren't looking at her with shock anymore. They were looking at her with admiration. And in that moment, she realized she hadn't come back to teach them a lesson. She had come back to teach herself one, that strength wasn't loud or vengeful. It was quiet. It was choosing to rise without needing to push others down. It was knowing who you are even when others don't. As the event came to an end, Amelia walked back toward the helicopter with her head high and her heart full. The same crowd lined up again, but this time, their phones weren't raised to mock, they were raised to admire. The girl they once ignored had become the woman they would never forget. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of your own journey, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories to life. Before we end, tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Amelia's place?